Hello folks, it is time for a 40k rant. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Mine's going okay. This one might be a tad controversial and it will be completely unscripted. A little while ago, maybe earlier on this year, I think maybe even last year by now, we did a video on what your Warhammer 40,000 army says about you, the player, the person who chose that army in specific. I let that go. I thought it was a pretty good video. People seemed to get a lot out of it and got a lot of laughs out of it, which was good. And then recently, I've been talking on my Discord and to friends about different players who actually get involved in our game of Warhammer 40,000. And we've kind of come to a consensus that, yeah, certain armies do resemble certain people, or at least most people who pick up their army to play on the tabletop. So, I posed a question to you lot. I said, do you want me to do the video again? And I got ratioed. I think it was nearly 90% of you said, yes, we would literally want you to do that video again, but better, bigger, with some pictures maybe, and with your new thoughts, if you have any, on what certain factions say about certain people. So, yeah, 86% of you said that you wanted to do this video again, so here I am to do it again. This is in no particular order, right? And I know it's going to be controversial. I know a lot of you are going to be like, what do you say about my army and me? Oh. That's fine, that's fine. You are allowed your opinion, just as I am allowed mine. Preface, though, I am a moron. A massive, massive moron. Ask my missus, right? Absolute idiot. So, what I say doesn't really matter, okay? This is just stuff that I've come across in my time in the hobby. As you all know, I've been well ingrained in this hobby for a long time now. I've worked in a hobby store and Games Workshop as well. So I've been around the company that's not started it all, but is at the epicenter of it all for a while. And I've been around a lot of other hobbyists, maybe more than most of you guys out there, right? You know, I've got a unique perspective, I guess, with being somebody who has worked for the company and gone and done work in hobby stores and things like that. So, you know, I've played a lot of games, seen a lot of people, and these are the thoughts that I think when somebody tells me their army choice, I think one of two things. And this is a video about each and every single army, those one or two things that I think. Alright? Cool. Let's jump in, shall we? In no particular order with Eldar. Craftworld Eldar are first up. Thought I'd start with some Xenos, because they didn't get a lot of love last time. And yes, this video will be more extensive. I think we've got upwards of maybe almost 19, 20 armies to do. Anyway, Craftworld Eldar, what does it say about you if you collect Craftworld Eldar? I'm going to be honest, a lot of the armies that we're going to be talking about, arrogance has a big role to play, right? Eldar players seem to be they seem to resemble their army a lot when it comes to their outlook and things like that. These are people who tend to look down on others in the hobby, and this isn't from a toxic way, it's more of a, ugh, you know, that kind of a way. The eye-rolly sort of a way. There are also a lot of people who collect Eldar who seem to be twinned with Sisters of Battle players. And I think you know how, right? You know, please step on me, Eldar woman who is taller than me. That kind of thing, right? The same people who romanced the Eldar girl in Rogue Trader. You know, weeaboos. You know who you are. You know who you are, right? You're all there. You're all collecting Eldar. And you're not apologising for it. And I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. Also, Eldar players, you never, ever, ever tire of telling people around you that you have no lore. Right? That you've been left on the back burner for a long, long time. And let's not even get into Ynnari, right? Because when Ynnari came out, I know a lot of my Eldar friends were all getting really hyped for it. And every single piece of Ynnari lore is literally, how have they failed this week to do anything of note? Yes, I know, you deserve a lot more than what you're getting, but I am sick of hearing about it, alright? We all know it, but that's cool, that's fine. Also, Eldar players seem to be the voice of Xenos. Have you ever noticed that? They seem to be like, they seem to think that they talk for all other Xenos factions. Like, Xenos never get any love, blah, 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 blah. When, really, are you really playing Xenos? I'm serious. If you're playing Eldar, are you really playing aliens? Or are you playing humans with pointy ears? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, right? I know the Eldar are their own thing. I know they're much older than humans. I know they've been around for 65 million years. I know the Eldar lore, dude. They were my first army before I, went and I drank the Kool-Aid and became a Space Marine fan. But, really, if you're gonna call yourself a Xenos faction, you should look weird. You should be an Orc, or a Tyranid, or maybe even a Necron, which we're gonna get to in a minute. But just Space Elves? You're not that alien, right? You're not that Xenos. Xenos means, outsider, not us. Eldar pretty much are, though. You have 5 fingers, 5 fingers, 4 fingers and a thumb, you know what I mean? They look human. They're very much basically us with pointy ears and taller and more lithe, and they live for longer and they're hotter in general. You know what? I'm getting sidetracked, but you know what I mean? Eldar players, you know who you are, and you know that I'm right. Moving on. It is Necrons time. Alright, I'm just going to come out and say it, right? I'm going to come out and say it. The first thing I think of, if I don't know who you are and I know you play Necrons, there's a high likelihood you are a woman, and there is another high likelihood that you are a hottie Hottington. I'm just going to be honest, right? The amount of girls that I've seen collecting Necrons in the hobby, and they all tend to be weirdly good looking. I don't know why. I don't know why this phenomenon occurs. I don't know what they see in Necrons. Girls, if you know, put it in the comment section down below. I have no idea why so many of you have Catan shard models and things like that are your pride of place on your mantelpiece. Dude, when I came back from America and I was dating around, right, I would often, date people in the hobby, because what you do, right? You meet each other in the hobby or whatever in different circles, and you go out and you get drinks and stuff, and there you are. But the amount of times I would visit somebody's flat that I was seeing, and I'd be like, hey, what's your favourite army right now? And it would always be Necrons or Tyranids, but mostly Necrons, and mostly Catan models. Is it because they're easy to paint? Is it because it's a really good way to get into the hobby without, jumping in both feet? You can learn as you go? I'm not sure, but this is a phenomenon that I have come across very, very much. The other point about Necron players that I wanted to go over as well is that there is another side to Necron players if they're men, right? They tend to be IT professionals. I don't know. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Again, in our last video on this, a lot of people in the comments were like, are you prescient to something? What is going on? How did you call me out like that? I don't know. I think it's just time in the hobby, dude. I think I just get a feel for these things, right? IT professionals. I have no idea why. Loads of them do Necrons. Every single time I speak to one, they're doing Necrons, right? Most of my friends who do Necrons are happy chappies, jovial, nice lads, right? And they're into computers. Those are the two things that I get, right? Again, there aren't really many negatives about people in 40k in this video. Oh no, there will be, actually. There will be. If you get called out, it is what it is. But anyway, that's the Necrons, anyway. That's what I think of Necron fans. Those are the kinds of people who tend to like Necrons, in my opinion. Don't throw me off a bridge, right? Cool. Drukhari are next. Dark Eldar. Now. Okay, let me take a sip here. So, I'm going to be honest. Dark Eldar players tend to be very nice people. It just is what it is. But also, do you know that harmless goth person? He's like he might be tall, he might not be, but he's got really spindly fingers. Like really long fingers. He's one of those dudes, right? He's a goth, but he really long fingers. Maybe he's got a few of them painted black, right? He's harmless. He's nice. He's probably called Dave, right? And he's into Dark Eldar. Every single time I go to a metal club or a pub that plays metal music, there's one or two of these guys hovering around. And I know if they're into 40k, they're Dark Eldar players. I just know. It just is. It's all over the face, right? They're just there. They look like an emaciated version of Lurch, like he's just there in the corner. Generally into very, very, very heavy bans, you know? But also hiding quite a lot of sadness. I've known quite a few Dark Eldar players who have been genuinely depressed. I know it's not great subject to go into, but it is true. I've known a lot of Dark Eldar players. There was one who was at my Games Workshop that I was working at when I was a staffer, not a manager, and he was actually a Dark Eldar player, and he ended up not being with us anymore by his own means, which wasn't great. You know, it wasn't a good time because he was a lovely guy, an absolutely lovely guy. Dark Eldar was his main army. I played many games against him. We had a lot of fun, but you could just tell there was something in him eating him. I couldn't put my finger on it when I was speaking to him, and I wish I did. You know, maybe I could have done something about it. But as far as I'm aware, you know, he didn't tell anybody about what he was feeling, and I bet you didn't think this video would go in this direction, but it is. Because sometimes we've got to talk about these things. I've come across a lot of Dark Eldar players when I've felt that similar. There's something missing here, you know, when you're speaking to them, and they're nice, they're jovial, they're happy, but you can just see the smile isn't reaching their eyes, right? It's not quite reaching there. And I remember this guy. I was at a checkout in Sainsbury's near the Games Workshop after work, just buying some milk, I think, or something like that. Anyway, and he came over to me, and he had a small Space Marine army, and he said, you know, would you like to buy? I'm getting rid of my Space Marine army. Would you like to buy my Land Raider? Right? Because I need the money. I need money. You know, I think he'd lost his job or something. And I said, sorry, man. You know, I'm skint. I work for Games Workshop. Do you know what I mean? I'm skint. I work for Games Workshop. I'm skint. And by the way, at the price he was quoting me, I could get it for cheaper with my 50% discount anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, no, I'm not up for buying it, but I know people who will be up for buying it. So talk to this person, and at the store, and they'll probably buy it from you. He then said, no, dude, do you know what? Forget it. Do you just want to have it? Do you just want to have the Land Raider? You know? And I was like, no, I'm not just going to take your Land Raider for free, dude. Like, and make that offer to somebody else, though. Definitely. Somebody who doesn't have a 50% discount on models. That's what you should do. Anyway, I never saw him again. A few weeks later, we got a text in the WhatsApp group. Demonettes represent. Cool dudes. We got a text in the group chat saying, you know, he'd passed away. So, again, very, very, very important to talk about, because I don't know what it is with Dark Eldar players, but I keep coming across them. So, you know, sometimes I generalize in a positive way, and maybe somebody gets some. If you feel seen by that, well, you know, just know that videos like this hopefully will go some way to get people to actually listen to you and take you seriously. Do you know what I mean? And if you do see a Dark Eldar player out there, and he is jovial, and he is happy, and he is a good lad, give him a hug from me, right? From your old pal North. Give him a hug. Anyway, moving on. Moving onwards and upwards. What shall we do next? Let's do Orcs next. Let's do Orcs. Love a few Orcs. Orcs. Right. One of the first dad armies that we're going to be talking about today. Orcs. Because they tend to be dads. They tend to be very large, jovial men who have kids, right? And they also, do you know what I've noticed about Orc players? Is a lot of them tend to be very busy, right? A lot of them tend to be business owners. A lot of them tend to be doing serious stuff away from the hobby all the time. So when they get into the hobby, they really just want to smash things and crump them and tear things apart and see a load of their men get blasted off the table. Because it's funny to them, right? They don't have the mental bandwidth. I don't mean intelligence, I mean power, right? Because they spent it all in the week. These are the guys who literally go to the hobby store on the weekend to unwind, to chill, to have fun, right? And they don't want anything getting in the way of that, even the game and the army that they're playing. These guys have a lot going on, and they like to play with their toy soldiers, and they like to do it in a way that it is not going to cause them any stress whatsoever, right? I have never seen an Orc player get salty. I have never seen an Orc player get angry, and I've never seen an Orc player absolutely lose it. I know there's always exceptions that prove the rule, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's one form of Orc player. The other form of Orc player is somebody who is Generally a father is what I would say. I've come across a ton of dads, an absolute metric load of Orc players who are just getting a break from their kids. And they get models so that their kids can look at them and understand what they are at a glance. It's kind of hard to do that with Eldar, Space Marines, you know what I mean? Because it's you know, they're soldiers. An Orc, though, a kid likes playing with Orcs. That doesn't sound right. But you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Like, he would be able to play with his son, 40k, right? With, where am I going with this? With Orcs. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Like the little lad's going to go, wow, those are so cool. What are they? They're Orcs. And instantly, that kid knows what Orcs do. They bash things over the head, and they love fighting. Brilliant, right? It's one of those armies that every dad can get into and spend time with, and it gets you from underneath the feet of the missus, unless that's where you want to be. You know how things are these days. But it gets you out from under her feet, and it gets you out there playing games of toy soldiers with your friends, and maybe even your kids. Cool, huh? Right? But in general, very jovial men. I've used the word jovial too many times in this video, but you know what I mean. Very, very, very happy-go-lucky dudes. I genuinely have nothing else to say on the Orcs, because I've never come across a negative one. Ever. I've always come across decent blokes who like throwing dice. Oh, right, yeah, the other form of Orc player. Right, there is one negative one. If you have ever... Listen to me when I say this. Listen. If you're doing something right now, stop what you're doing. If you're an Orc player, all the rest of you, carry on. If you're making your dinner, if you're whatever you're doing, right? Carry on, you know? Attending to the missus. I don't know why you'd be listening to me whilst you're doing that, but there you go. Carry on doing what you're doing, alright? Orc players, listen. If I ever catch you shouting "War" across a shop or in a public place, I will come to your table, I will take out a hammer that you use to break apart toffee, and I will smash your Gazgul character to bits. Alright? Please stop doing that. Please stop doing that. It is the quintessential ignorant thing to do. I understand it's a bit of fun. I get that, dude. I'm not here to tell you that you can't have fun. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I am going to say is that in a public place, that is the height of ignorance. Please don't do that. Alright? It's annoying. And nobody thinks you're clever. Even the guy who's playing you is sort of cringing. Even if he is also an Orc player. Don't do it, alright? Cool. Moving on. Let's go over to... Thousand Suns! Why not? We'll do Hal a favour. Right, okay, Amber King's not going to be happy with this one. You're all fucking nerds. I'm serious. I am deadly serious. Like, I have not come across a Thousand Suns player who wasn't a bog-standard nerd. Literally, if you ever seen the It Crowd, you know, standard nerds. Like, that's what you get if you are a Thousand Suns player. I'm sorry, that is literally what you are. You are also somebody, in my opinion, who rather likes the fact that you're the downtrodden. Have you ever met somebody like that, where they quite like the fact that they're the victims? I don't mean professional victims, I don't mean people like that. I mean they like being the underdog to the point of self-mutilation. Do you know what I mean? They absolutely like throwing themselves into fires. They are pathological rescuers. I have come across so many dudes who've met girls and gone out with them when they're Thousand Suns players, and they just need to... They're always dating broken women. Right? All the time. Absolutely all the time. By the way, I love Magnus's face on this, you know, as Logan Grimnar, like, swipes at him with the corn axe. He's like, ugh. I love that. Ugh, brother, ugh. Anyway, yeah, they're always dating broken women because they try to fix them. Again, I say all of my Thousand Suns playing friends, I only have 2 that I know in real life, right? But each of them are kind of famous for their bad dating choices and the women that they've introduced us to, where we've gone, whoa, you know, ex-strippers, that kind of thing. Yeah, what are you doing, dude? Pathological rescuers. I don't know why. I don't know why. And so their choice in army also represents that, at least for me. And it's one of those weird things where in 40k, life imitates art, or art imitates life, right? It goes back and forth, where they choose Thousand Sons because it gives them the same type of feeling. Thousand Sons are the most downtrodden of the Space Marine legions, right? Most of them aren't even a legion anymore, they're just dust people in armor, right? That is what it is. And they're attracted to that. They want to play the downtrodden. They want to play the guys who are constantly underestimated. They want to play the guys who aren't popular. So they choose Thousand Sons. A lot of these dudes didn't know what to do with themselves when Magnus came back, because they're so used to not getting wins and not being looked at seriously. That when at the end of 7th, when Magnus the Red came back, they just didn't know what to do with themselves. They were like, "What? We're winning now? We're going to the Fang and we're winning? Like what?" Right? And yeah, and a lot of them didn't like it. A lot of them didn't like the change. They don't want to win. They want to be the underdog. They want to be the downtrodden. It's just odd behavior. Exactly the opposite of Space Wolves, by the way, and we will get into that a little bit later on. Okay, who is next? Who is next? Who is next? Who is next? Let's jump into Imperial Fists. Right. Good boys. Good boys. Good wholesome boys. Do you know what it is? Right. I call it the Valrakism. Right. So, if you've ever watched one of Valrak streams, he is a genuinely happy, excitable chap on his streams. And do you know how Valrak looks, right? That is how I imagine every Imperial Fists fan to look. It's something like that, do you know what I mean? You know? A dad with a shed. Yeah? If you've got a shed, you're probably an Imperial Fists fan. And now, if I say if you've got a shed, I don't mean like you own a shed. No, I mean you've got a shed. Like, you'll use it for things in life. You go into the shed, you build things in there, it's got your stuff in. You're a man and you got stuff in your shed. If you're James May, you're an Imperial Fists fan. That's just something that I've come across. Wholesome, yeah. Good to know, yeah. Very excitable, yeah. Love the hobby, yeah. Good lads, yes. But also, how do I put this? Can be a bit dull. Don't hit me, Robbie. I'm just saying. Can be a bit one note, can be a bit, oh yeah, brilliant, yeah. Not controversial, not stepping outside the bounds. You like your Dawn, you like your yellow, you like being Praetorian of Terror. Simple as. That is who you are. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with being simple. There just isn't. You simply are an Imperial Fists fan, and good job to you, right? Turtling 2 in strategy games. Imperial Fist fans, why are you always doing that? The only people who are worse than you for turtling in strategy games, especially things like Dawn of War, are these dudes, right? Imperial Guard. Imperial Guard. Now, these dudes, if you play any sort of, shall we say, strategy game with dudes like this, you're going to be there forever. Because you're never going to win. They're going to continue throwing bodies at you. And you know what they do? You know what they excel at? Not losing. They never win, but they just don't lose. They sit there, and they tank, and they tank, and they tank, and they tank, and they turtle up, and turtle up, and turtle up, until you can't dislodge them. They're never going to move, they're never going to win. My friend Matt did exactly this to me all the time in Dawn of War, and I'm still salty about it. He's the biggest Imperial Guard fanboy that there is, and this is how he played. He also played that way on the tabletop, which was very, 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 very funny. Because he just, he was literally the Imperial Guard player, right? He loved sitting at the back of the board and just shooting you until you got annoyed and stopped playing. Right? The other side of Imperial Guard fans, history buffs. Now, when I say history buffs, I don't mean ancient history. I don't mean even medieval history. No. We're talking World War I, World War II. 20th century history buffs. People who play Hearts of Iron religiously are Imperial Guard fans. By and large. They love it, my friend, and a lot of them moved over to bolt action as well, and have at least dipped their toe into those waters. Do you know when people say about Imperial Guard players that they like being the underdogs? I don't think that's true. I think that's a bit of a myth. I think Thousand Sons players like being the underdogs more than Imperial Guard players. No, I think Imperial Guard players love, and I mean love, 20th century history, especially the two world wars. Anything with tanks in it. If you've got a War Thunder fan, right? If you play War Thunder religiously, any game like that, you're probably going to be an Imperial Guard fan. You know who you are, and there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. But my god, are you some turtly mofos. Moving on. Who are we doing next? Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, another one controversial one. Let me... How big is this picture I picked? Here we go. Here we go. Right. Adepta Saritas. Do you like feet? And you're probably an Adepta Saritas fan. I'm kidding. But not really. Not really. Like, a lot of the guys that I know who collect Eldar also collect Sisters of Battle for similar reasons. You know, it's the dominating woman stereotype. Nuns with guns, you know? That kind of a thing. And they're not ashamed of it either. These aren't guys who hide like furries. They're not like them. They don't hide. They don't try and... They're not ashamed of what they like. No. I want my boob armor to be massive. Please. I would like to paint copious amounts of breasts. And that is what I'm going to be doing with my Adepta Saritas army. I don't know of any dudes who collect the army who don't think that way. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Dude, fill your boots. Absolutely. Really nice models, by the way. Even taking all that out of it. But, I just come across a lot of these dudes who, when I say, why do you collect Sisters of Battle, they always giggle. You know who you are. You know who you are, right? When I ask that question, oh, so why do you collect Sisters of... Dude, my sister's husband, right, my brother-in-law, is this person. He's right. Well, the first time I asked him, oh, you're doing Sisters of Battle, why are you doing those? Right? Literally. Dude's married to my sister. Right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know who you are. You're out there. And there's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. Are you still annoyed that you couldn't romance Argenta in Rogue Trader? Yeah. There you go. And most of the Battle fans anyway. But amazing models. You might just be into it for the models, but, you know. By the way, the most based person in 40k, do you know who it is? Do you know who it is? Right? It's not a Black Templars fan. It is a woman who collects Sisters of Battle. Based. Absolutely based. Anyway. Okay. Alrighty. Another controversial one. Let's dive into the Black Templars. Okay. Alright. So. Ooh, this is going to take a while. Let me take a quick sip of my drink. It's going to take a little while. So. There are two sides to Black Templars, in my opinion. The first one, we used the word based before. Yeah, absolutely that. These are dudes who love feudalism in space. These are also dudes who love the idea of old school Warhammer 40,000. And if you like Black Templars, I can almost guarantee that you got into 40k the same time I did. And that's 3rd edition with that lovely big box set with the Dark Eldar and Black Templars in it, right? That rulebook. You all know what I mean. That picture of the Emperor on the Golden Throne in the rulebook that sucked you into 40k and you've never left since. Or maybe you have left and you've come back. You like Black Templars. Especially when you see the amount of the swing that 40k's done towards being more family friendly, a bit more being advertiser friendly, that kind of thing. You like things just as they were. You're a big fan of John Blanche, right? And you like the grim darkness of the far future and the laughter of thirsting gods. That's what you like. That's what got you into 40k. A few of you have probably gone over to things like Trench Crusade and other things that are a bit more edgy, a bit more up your street. Do you know what I mean? But Black Templars will always be your first love because you think the idea of knights and paladins with a dark edge fighting in space is cool as shit. And you'd be right. There is another part to Black Templars fans, however. Not all of them, but there are some, who seem to think that Black Templars are an excuse to be dicks to people, right? Where the Black Templars are cool because they're xenophobic. They get lost in the mire of the message of what the Black Templars are. Cool knights in space. It's the same kind of people who try to co-opt Christian symbolism and language to be, you know, based and to be like, you know, anti-left sort of a thing, right? Yeah? You know what I mean. You know the kind of people that I mean. It's not great. You know, it's just not fun to do that kind of a thing. I understand what you're saying and I understand what you're doing, and you know what? A lot of your opinions probably mirror mine on woke things, and, you know, I don't like using that word because it's annoying, but you know what I'm saying, on the far left. You know, I found the events of this week in politics extremely funny to look at, because one, I'm British, and two, it was really, really, really funny to see people melting down. I'm right there with you, dude, right? I'm right there with you. But those attitudes and opinions don't colour the kind of armies I like. Because I'm not in this for ideology. Okay? I can't have a go at one side, and I've said this many a time. I can't have a go at one side whilst ignoring the other, right? Do you know those people who shove politics into everything? BioWare, hello, right? Those people who shove politics into everything, and they don't just make it about the politics, they're not very good at writing it, and it comes across as talking down to people, right? Like you're a bad person or something. I don't know. If you play Dragon Age the Veiled Guard, you know what I mean, right? Some Black Templars fans are the right version of that. The right-wing version of that, right? So they literally use Black Templars as an excuse, as a vector for ideas that should be left in the past. Yeah? I've come across a few people like this in my time. People who, you know, unironically wear swastikas. People who, you know, have some really weird opinions about social dynamics and, yeah, you know, master races and things. I've come across them, dude, and it's not great. It is not great at all. And I wish that Black Templars were not tarred with this brush, but unfortunately they are, and this is why they will never see any mainstream Games Workshop love. But maybe that's for the better, because everything Games Workshop seems to touch in terms of the lore goes to hell in a handbasket, so maybe that's a good thing. But having worked for the company, and this is one of those where I bring out that trump card of, dude, combined, I worked in the hobby for 6 years, give or take, right, combined. In their own hobby, in my own local hobby store that is independent and Games Workshop. There was a lot less of it in Games Workshop, but there was still one or two dudes who liked Black Templars who really had very strange ideas about what is right and wrong in the world, right? One of them, two of them actually, yeah, two of them were from South America. Go figure, but it is what it is. But in the actual hobby store itself, the independent hobby store, I saw a lot more of it there. A lot more of it was there. And if you... A lot of these dudes... There's a difference between being based and being an arsehole. Do you know what I'm saying? Some of these dudes are the kind of guys who gatekeep for the wrong reasons. Okay? If you're into the 40k for the same reasons I am, which is you think Grim Darkness of the Far Future is cool, you like Warhammer, you like playing with toy soldiers, dude, welcome. No problem. And if you don't like that, then I'll gatekeep you. Because maybe this hobby isn't for you. That's who I am, right? I've come across quite a lot of people who unfortunately tend to collect armies like Black Templars, who make armies like Black Templars, who gatekeep for all the wrong reasons. They gatekeep because you're not like them. And that's not great, also, right? Again, not saying all Black Templars players. I'm not even saying most. In fact, I'm saying this is a vast minority of Black Templars players, but it is a behaviour I've seen cropping up in Black Templars more than other armies, is what I'm saying, right? Because of their symbolism, because of what they represent, it's what they are, right? But the vast majority of Black Templars players are the first version that we did, right? The based dude, the really cool dude, right? The guy who likes Grim Darkness of the Far Future, the guy who likes 3rd edition, the guy who thinks Knights and Templars in space is cool as shit. And if you are that kind of person, you are correct, sir. You are absolutely correct. Moving on. Let's do a less controversial one, shall we? A less controversial one. Oh, shit. Okay, right, alright, Custodes. We'll get them all out the way. So... Okay, do you know what? Let's start with the positives. The amount of dudes who go to the gym who do Custodes is weird. Very strange. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they're the Custodians are the best of the best of the best, you know? And they're actually... In 40k, there's always like a weird arms race of who's actually able to beat who. My dad could beat up your dad, right? The Custodes player is the player who always wants to win the argument of my dad could beat up your dad. That's what it is. Right? And they tend to go to the gym a lot. Which is great, by the way. Everyone should go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? My army could beat up your army. It's that guy. It's that guy, the army. That's what it is. At least in the Imperial side, anyway. It's that guy of the army. If he collects Custodes, in the lore, his army could beat yours. There is no rhyme or reason why your army would be able to beat his. Even Grey Knights. I know Grey Knights fans are going to give me shit for it, but even Grey Knights, no. Sorry. No. Right, Custodes, one Custodes could beat 5 Grey Knights in a hand-to-hand combat. Could he beat 10? No, probably not. Probably not, because I actually adhere to the rules of the lore. I don't just make things up as I go, unlike some people, right? So 10 Grey Knights, no, they would kill a Custodes. No problem whatsoever. But 5, nah. I think a Custodes, single Custodes is probably getting out of that alive, at least. I was probably killing them on top of that. So... that is where we are with that, at least. I think that's the kind of people who collect Custodes. The other kind of people who collect Custodes are people who are doing it, ironically, because it pisses people off. Why? Because we'd had the Femstodes thing a little while ago, and it didn't go down very well. And the sheer amount of people I see in different communities who, you know... collect Femstodes, and they go out of their way to say, no, I'm collecting female custodians, because they know it's going to get a reaction out of people. I find that kind of behaviour exhausting. And you're choosing your army for all of the wrong reasons. If you've chosen your army just to be unpleasant to other people, do you realise, number one, how much time you must have on your hands that you must spend on Reddit all the time, fishing for these kinds of reactions? Do you understand how much of a vapid, empty... annoying person you are? You are a net negative in the universe. Seriously, the energy you put into the universe, you are a net negative. And that's not a good thing. Yeah? So, sidestepping that, people like Major Kill, collect this army. People like, you know, I don't think Major Kill and Henry Cavill are in the same league, by the way, before we even go there. But Henry Cavill's army is Custodes, right? That should tell you all you need to know about the kinds of dudes who collect Custodes. These are simple men who like to go to the gym. Gym bros. Gym bros, the army. My dad could beat up your dad. Moving on. Moving swiftly on. I think I did quite well there for such a controversial topic. Let's do more in the way of chaos, shall we? Yeah, we'll do more chaos. Why not? Why not? Dark Angels. So, I'm just going to say this, like with Dark Angels players. Arrogance of the highest order. Right? They are basically Space Marine Eldar players. Minus the please step on me elven woman. Right? Minus all of that stuff. They are basically Space Marine Eldar players. These are players who are the first Legion. They are the oldest. They tend to be dads. They tend to be the older gamers. Tend to get into Dark Angels. I have no idea why that is. But every single time I see a Dark Angel player who, unironically, as his stuff painted Dark Angels, they are literally in their 40s, 50s, right? They've gotten into the game with their son. They wanted to collect Space Marines, and they went with the oldest. They went with the first Legion. Another part of this is guys who are very, very, very good at painting. A lot of Dark Angels players tend to be amazing hobbyists. I don't know why that is either, right? Yeah, a lot of their Deathwing armies tend to be immaculately painted. It just is what it is, and I'm very, very, very impressed by a lot of their gear when they're going on and about doing things. Yeah, arrogance and secrecy is their thing. But I'm not going to give them the secret tag, because I'm going to do Alpha Legion next as well. I'm going to throw Alpha Legion into here, okay? Because it's kind of the same attitude that's really exhausting. It's kind of going away now because the Dark Angels are getting away from that kind of lore, which I don't think is a good thing. I think they should have stayed really secretive. Now that the Lion's back, they're also very confused. Like, Dark Angels players tend to be very confused because the Lion's back, but is not really doing anything. He bodied Angron, didn't elaborate any further, and just left. So I don't know what's going on with him, and I don't think anyone does, but there we are. But Alpha Legion, let's just dive in there for a sec. If you're one of these people who says, you know, the phrase... You know what the phrase is, right? If you're one of these Alpha Legion fans, insufferable. Absolutely insufferable. I don't know what it is. They keep saying that fucking phrase, right? I am Alfarius. It's such a meme. And it's so taken from better forms of entertainment than whatever the Alpha Legion are doing, right? The Alpha Legion are the weakest form of writing. It's literally just, oh, what are we doing now? I don't know. Oh, even I don't know what my plots are doing. Oh, right? It's just terrible, okay? Your Legion's terrible. Your life's terrible. You're terrible, right? I'm not a big fan of the Alpha Legion in terms of what they do. I think they could be so much more, especially if they were combined with Tzeentch or something like that. Just something to make them interesting. Do something. Just do something. Not having a goal because your goals are always interseen and complex isn't interesting. Just not. It just isn't, right? And the only thing I get out of Alpha Legion players is I am Alfarius. Like, literally, all you get out of them. And they think that's some sort of badge of honor, like it's cool. And it isn't, right? Dark Angels fans, very, very, very similar. Or at least they used to be, about their secrecy and the things that used to go on with their Legion and things like that, right? And they would get the most butthurt if you even mentioned the fact that a lot of them fell to chaos. Right? Life imitating art. It's weird how that happens in 40k, but there we are. If you are an Alpha Legion fan and you are triggered by anything that I've said, just remember, it doesn't matter, because you don't have any motivations, so neither can I. Cool? Yeah, moving on. I also think that a lot of people who collect Dark Angels are into it for the same reason that the positive Black Templar fans are. That too, right? Knights in Space. I love them. Moving on. Leagues of Atan. Okay, you are a player who got into an army because they had a smashing codex that was beating everything, and now you want to sell your army on eBay. That is who you are, at least for the most part, right? Or you've played a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, right? You played a lot of those games. You like dwarves in space, right? That is what you do. You play Deep Rock Galactic. You do those memes. You like smashy, doing mining in space. And do you know what? Man of culture. Got no problem with that whatsoever. The one thing I can't do with the Leagues of Atan is how stumpy their legs are. I just can't get over it. It's very, very, very silly. They look silly to me, and I think that's very, very funny. I also like the fact that they took one of the most interesting and 40k ideas in the squats and turned them into a generic, you know, Deep Rock Galactic rip-off that they then threw into 40k. But it's fine. I think they're a cool army. And if you collected them, it must be nice having no lore. Awesome. Fans, literally. Votan fans. Just think. You want lore that Games Workshop have written until they write it. And when they write it and they screw it up, you're going to be saying, can we go back to not having any lore, please? Right? Anyway, moving on. Emperor's Children. Right. An army, literally, that should be called Potential. The Army. Potential, the Army. I hope with their new re-release that they're going to look better. They're going to look awesome. And we're going to have these, like, really cool dudes that coming out. That'd be great. But your models look very, very, very silly. One thing I have noticed, and this is going to also be controversial. Almost, in my time at Games Workshop and working in a hobby store, almost every trans person I came across was into it, Emperor's Children. Yeah? I don't know whether it was because of the body modification or the Slaaneshi influence of being, you know, expressive and out there, you know. But almost every single trans person or non-binary person or whatever you want to call them, right, was into Emperor's Children. Very, not weird, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but it is kind of a how do I put it? It was strange seeing that many people from that demographic into a certain army. You never really got that with anything else, right? You may get a dude who likes Knights in space and he does Dark Angels or Black Templars or Grey Knights, right? Very similar armies there in terms of aesthetic. But in terms of Emperor's Children, they're almost wholly being represented by the trans people, right? If you had trans or non-binary or whatever coming into your shop, very high likelihood they like Fulgrim and they like Emperor's Children. Gays too, right? Gays, I can only say from my own personal experience, I've got several gay friends, and almost every single one of them at least has a small warband of Emperor's Children, and Fulgrim is their favourite Primarch. Go figure. They also really like Sigvald from Warhammer Fantasy Battles too. If that's you, and you find yourself in 40k, all power to you. I think that's cool, and you got an army there to represent you. I really do wish they weren't, you know, absolutely screwed up mass murderers. But there you are. It is what it is. Yeah, so that's just something that I've noticed about Emperor's Children fans. I've not noticed anything else like, you know, that stands out about them. I do think in 30k. There is a much wider band of fans than there is in 40k. In 40k, it is what it is. Look at them, right? But in 30k, you do get a much wider band of people. Dudes who like swords in 30k tend to get into, you know that dude who collects swords, that weirdo, you know? He's got like katanas and broadswords and shit. Can't use any of them, but he collects them. Yeah, he's an Emperor's Children fan. Here's what it is. Moving on. Let's have a little look. See who else we got here now. Corn. It is corn time. So sometimes orc players can feel a little spicy. They get in a little spicy mood, right? And that's when they go and they play corn. That's literally in there all the time, wanting to fight, wanting to get into the face of the enemy, playing games, essentially, right up the table, right in your face. They don't want to think about it. Corn players are here to have fun. They're here to run at you and bash you over the head with as many spiky objects as they can. That's how they play. That's how they do. These are people, also, that I've noticed, just like orc players, have a lot of things going on in life, so they can't give the amount of thought to their army that they might like, or perhaps that's the thing that attracts them to it. The fact that it's literally very simple. I am a Khorne Berserker, and your head is no longer attached to your shoulders because you were standing in front of me. There are a lot of Khorne fans like that. They've got enough complications going on in life. They're business owners. These are people who are very, very, very smart. I have noted, and this is a phenomenon as well, across the board in 40k, I think, right? The smarter people collect the simpler armies. The smarter somebody is in the real world, the simpler army they will collect, right? And the more numbskullish somebody is in the real world, the smarter army they'll try and collect. It's like a flex thing, do you know what I mean? Whereas really smart people tend to collect really simple armies, like Orcs and Khorne Berserkers, right? They tend to do that because they've got so many other things going on in life that they just want to have fun when they get to their hobby table. They don't take it too seriously. Khorne players tend not to be that competitive. Again, there's always the exceptions to every rule. We've seen a few in Hobby Nightmares, but most of them tend just to be guys who are there to throw some dice and remove some heads. Moving on. Who have we got next? Night Lords. Okay. If you're a Night Lord fan, you read the trilogy by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, and you said, yep, these are the dudes for me, right? Misunderstood villains are your absolute bedrock of everything that you like to read and everything you like to be around. Without realising the irony of the fact that the Night Lords are not misunderstood, they really are that shitty as people. Again, here we are, right? Here we are. The weird amount of normies who are really into Night Lords. Very strange. Very strange. Like the most normal, average dudes that I know are into Night Lords. I've got a mate called Dan. And Dan is basically an NPC, right? And he knows this as well. Like it's how he defines himself. He's basically the most normal white dude you could come across in your life. Average standard NPC white dude, right? Loves Night Lords. Absolutely adores Night Lords. Can't get enough of them. This dude writes bad fan fiction about Night Lords. He's that into it. He's a grown man, right? He's a grown man. He's got posters all over his office. He is a Conrad Kurz fanboy. And when I asked him if it was anything to do with Batman, he said, no, got nothing to do with that. I just think Night Lords are really, really, really cool. And this is a quote from him, by the way. They are what the Blood Angels would be if the Blood Angels had balls. They stand by their convictions. Youch, right? Weird amount of normies into Night Lords. Not sure if anyone else has noticed that. But anyway, moving on. What are we doing next? Let's do another Chaos Army. We did Thousand Suns. We've done World Eaters and Khorne, which is good. Happy with that. Let's do Iron Warriors. Alright, Iron Warriors. Okay. You want to know what a wargamer looks like? Go and talk to an Iron Warriors fan. That's all I've got to say on that one. I will say more, obviously. But if you want to know what they look like, or what they sound like, go and talk to an Iron Warriors fan. Iron Warriors fans are literally walking wargamers. Walking wargames. They are the lifeblood of wargames. That is who they are. Why? Because their Primarch is that too. Perturabo is a wargamer. And that is what it is. They are a fantastic army, and I really, really do like them in the lore too. But, also, I said this on a stream the other day. Games Workshop really, really, really like meta commentaries on their own fan base. Sometimes not very positive as well. In that they, especially with people like the Iron Warriors, because the Iron Warriors resemble wargamers, and what are wargamers? Basically autistic. It's just saying, right? A lot of the pointers of Perturabo and his Legion are quite autistic, or at least on the spectrum somewhere, right? Again, that is not a negative, that is an observation. Some of the most brilliant people I know are autistic, so, you know, it is what it is. I've said that it is what it is so many times in this video, you should be bleeding by the ears by now. But I've come across a lot of Iron Warriors fans who are that way inclined. They are very, very, very simple people in terms of Khorne, in terms of Orcs, right? They are people who like to wargame and like to throw dice. And they like to do it in the most cynical way possible. They will lay down fire upon you. They will not get involved in duels. These are guys who are there to win, but not do it in a way that's win at all costs. These guys are literally there to throw down and shoot at you with as much velocity as they can carry, with no semblance of honour and rushing into combat. This is not what they do. The Iron Warriors speak to them for a reason. They are no nonsense, and they're just dudes who like simple things, right? And not an alarming amount, but a crazy amount of autistic fans are really into Iron Warriors. If you're one of those people, let me know in the comment section down below why that is. Why you think that is. I'm not too sure myself. Maybe it's because Games Workshop have portrayed them that way. I don't know. But I don't think it's any coincidence, going back to that Games Workshop negative spin on their fans, I don't think it's any coincidence that the most salty of the Primarchs, the most childish, the most human, and the most flawed of the Primarchs, in terms of being, you know, just a brat, is also a wargamer and an Iron Warriors player. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Moving on. Moving swiftly onwards. I swear we got another another chaos dude around here somewhere. Let's have a look. See what's this one? No, we've done that one. We've done Emperor's Children. Don't need to do that one. Where are we? Ah, Black Legion. All right, Black Legion. So, Chaos players who couldn't make their mind up. That's what we have with Black Legion. And also, if you're a Black Legion fan, you find brass paint repulsive. You are literally sick of brass. You don't want to see it anymore. You don't want to do it anymore. You don't want it anywhere near you in any way, shape, or form. You are currently suffering from the biggest case of intellectual blue balls that has ever been visited upon humankind, because Aaron Dembski Bowden is never getting to that last Black Legion book, is he? No, sir. No, he is not. But you can't make your mind up. You think all chaos is cool, and so you go with the Black Legion. You also are Metal Gear Solid fans. You know why I know this? Because Metal Gear Solid Big Boss is literally Abaddon the Despoiler. You won. You want endless warfare because you want your warriors, you want your boys to always have someone to fight, to always have a purpose, and by God did you win. Because this is now a galaxy of endless warfare where you will always have a place. Brotherhood means a lot to Black Legion players. I have no idea why, but the most vociferously loyal people I've ever known have had a hard-on for Black Legion. Like a real hard-on for Black Legion. They're always there, always loving them, always into them, right? And by the way, they can be quite savage. Black Legion fans don't really have any ownership over Abaddon the Despoiler because he's kind of 40k's thing in its entirety, do you know what I mean? But they will go out of their own way to lambast and take the piss out of their own leader. Like, the most savage Abaddon put-downs I've heard have come from Black Legion players. Don't know why. Don't know why. Anyway, just something funny that I came across. Death Guard. Alright, okay. We're back to another army where there are two kinds of Death Guard. Number one, a jolly person who likes to paint really disgusting things. You probably really like Halloween, and I salute you for that, sir, right? Because Halloween's the best time of year, and I'm gutted it's now over, as I'm sure you are, as a lovely fan of your beloved Death Guard. But I will also say about your army choice, a lot of people who tend to have bad hygiene seem to think that being into Death Guard gives them a free pass. I'm here to tell you, it does not. If you come into my store smelling of shit, I will not play you, and if it is my store, I will ask you to leave, because I don't like the smell of shit when I'm trying to roll my dice. That is just how it is. The sheer amount of people who don't seem to take showers, who fart and say, "Blessing from the Plague Father upon you, sir," and they waft their fart towards you. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Please stop spreading your germs, your fumes, and in general, the bad rumours and speculations on who wargamers are. Please stop doing that. We're fighting against stereotypes like that, and you're not helping, alright? I don't know why well, I do know why they're all Death Guard players, let's be honest. Look at them! Look at the Death Guard! That's why they play them. But if your army choice is predicated on the fact that you don't like taking showers, you need to examine yourself. You know, look in the mirror. You need to examine yourself, get some therapy. But if you like painting really absurdly disgusting things, and you like being extremely tanky on the tabletop, and you like the lore of this army, dude, fill your boots. Yeah, they are really cool. And by the way, your Primarch is a fucking hypocrite. Moving on. Moving swiftly onwards. I think that's all Chaos, isn't it? All major Chaos players, anyway. We've done Alpha Legion, we've done Tzeentch. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Speaking of people who are kind of Chaos but won't admit it. Space Wolves. Okay, so you are the opposite to the Thousand Suns in all things. Thousand Sons don't mind losing. In fact, they love losing. Thousand Sons get off on losing. They are literally gluttons for punishment. Space Wolves are people who can't stand losing, and if you even throw a kind of loss their way, they are apt to go a completely batshit and start shouting at you from across the tabletop. That is just something I've come across in my time in the hobby. The sheer amount of toxic fans who have come from one army is crazy. It is crazy. Even online, speaking to people, as soon as somebody says they are a Space Wolf fan, I start backing off mentally, because you know what's coming. Lehman Russ is the best, he's awesome, the Space Wolves are the best, and you should just collect Space Wolves, and you would do if you weren't such a prat, right? That's the kind of argument that comes out of the mouths of a lot of Space Wolf fans. Are they all this way? No, because Space Wolves, ironically, are one of those dad-son armies. Yeah, you heard me. The sheer amount of people that I know who are dads who play this hobby with their sons and they tend to get into Space Wolves is mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. At the Games Workshop, we had an internal league between fathers and sons who just collected Space Wolves. 6 pairs. 6. It's Vikings in space, it's a very simple idea, and father and son can get into them together. And that's why I give Space Wolves a pass for a lot of things, right? But they also have very, 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 very toxic behaviours in certain parts of their fan base where they can never take a loss. Remember that, they're never allowed to lose, and even if somehow they do lose, it'll be finagled and machined in a way that is, you know, makes them look cool. These are the only people who are apparently allowed to attack the Inquisition and still get away with it. Or have a Space Marine army, a Space Marine chapter that is, 5 to 10,000 members deep. Because, they're Space Wolves. Of course they can break the setting. Of course they can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They're not my favourite army. At all. And the very reason why I'm building an army right now called the Emperor's Wolves is because I'm determined to do the Space Wolves right. To do them correctly. Right? Anyway, if you got triggered by that as a Space Wolf fan, I'm sorry, but I don't care. Moving on. What have we got next? Tyranids. Okay, yes, again. Very much like the Necrons, in that a vast amount of Tyranid players that I know are, number 1, female, and number 2, attractive. It just tends to be what it is. But these girls are the trolley side of attractive. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Necron girls tend to be very good-looking. They will stream their painting on Twitch. They will talk to you. They will genuinely go out on dates with you, right? Tyranid girls, not a chance. They are there to literally troll the ever-loving shit out of you. And they will be unapologetic about doing so. And the only way you can actually get around that is just by embracing it and going, yeah, okay, that's the kind of person you are. Again, please don't jump down my throat. This is just something that I've noticed from the several of them that I know, that I've spoken to personally. They enjoy trolling people. They enjoy running up the table and eating things and, just having fun doing that kind of a thing. It just is what it is. They also have a lot of pets. I've noticed this about Tyranid players, men and women. They have a lot of pets, right? I know a guy called Alan, who is a big Tyranids player. The only male one that I know, quite frankly. Alright, and he has a lizard collection. And when I say a lizard collection, I mean there are several rooms in his house that I will not go to because of the sheer amount of lizards that just keep escaping. Geckos just escaping those rooms and wandering the house. Is what it is, right? And he loves his Tyranids, he's way into them. And most of the girls that I know who are attractive and into Tyranids tend to have lots of cats. Don't know what that says about them, but it is what it is. They have cats, and it's fine. What else? Oh, yeah, not all of them are attractive, of course, right? But by and large, the ones that I know are. Don't know why. Maybe it's because of the YouTube thing. Maybe it's because I was in the hobby for a long time. I get a lot of hobby nightmares about, women who, how do I put this, aren't great to look at, who are into Tyranids. So, the female armies tend to be Necrons and Tyranids. Don't know why. Maybe it's My Little Pets or something like that. I have no idea. If you know, put it in the comment section down below. All right, let's get into that. I'd quite like to know where that phenomenon comes from. Right, what have we got left? Deathwatch. All right, we didn't do Deathwatch last time. If you're into Deathwatch, you probably played Space Marine 2. At least if you got into Deathwatch recently. Again, you are literally Special Forces guy. You play a lot of Call of Duty. You like games like that. You like being the standard Special Forces. The only reason you don't collect Raptors is because you don't like the colour green, right? You'd rather paint black. My doff my cap to you, sir, if that is you. That is just where we are. You also really like old patterns of armour. And you will go out of your way to collect old patterns of armour just to stick it to Games Workshop. Which is probably why you don't have a codex, or at least you don't have one yet. You will get one pretty soon, so I hear. You think people who collect Grey Knights are pussies, who really couldn't get out of their own way and just be Special Forces bros like you. A lot of ex-military play Deathwatch. Go figure. You know, the amount of ex-soldiers that I've known over the years who collect Deathwatch is, again, really, really, really strange. They're out there, they live among us, you know, and again, not every single Deathwatch player, but you are either really into modern military tactics, right? And the Alien movies, things like that. You're either really into that, or you are actually ex-military and you were a part of that for a long, long time. So, good luck to you if you were, but there we are. That is Deathwatch. Moving on. I think we only have one or two left, don't we? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have one or two left. One of which... we got like 4 left, I think. Yes, 4. Right, okay. So, Blood Angels. Blood Angels. So. Do you know that normie friend you've got who's into 40k but not really? Yeah? Do you know that friend you've got who collected 40k for a while back in the day? He had Space Marines, right? And then got out of it, but he still keeps up with it every now and again. That guy collects Blood Angels. Almost to a T. That guy collects Blood Angels. I'm telling you. That's what he does. I don't know where that comes from. It's another phenomenon. I've got no idea where that comes from. But there is a metric shitload of normies who see the Blood Angels and they dive straight for them. It's just their kind of thing. It's just what they do. They love them. Maybe it's the red colour being easier to paint. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that they are genuine heroes in the setting. It's very hard to get that every now and again. They're tragic heroes. They have a dark past. Don't talk to... If somebody's really into Blood Angels, don't talk to them about vampires. It really triggers them. They just don't seem to know what to do with themselves if you mention vampires. It's kind of like mentioning potatoes to an Irishman. But looking at Sanguinius as well. Sanguinius is the quintessential best Primarch, right? But there is a certain insecurity about that with Blood Angels players. There's a certain insecurity about that. They need you to know how heroic Sanguinius was. They need you to know that he gave his life for the Emperor. He was the one who was there the entire time. You know, screw everybody else. They didn't fight as hard as Sanguinius did. And they never let you forget it. Which is why I kind of think their chapter's kind of boring. Because their successors aren't very good. Don't have a go at me, right? Flesh Tearers are cool. I hear you. Flesh Tearers are cool. But almost everybody else is just a differently coloured Blood Angel. Right? The Ultramarine successors are better than the Blood Angel successors. Why? Because they're varied. They can be mental in cases. All Blood Angel successors are essentially Blood Angels coloured differently. That's what they are. Ironic, considering what Gabriel Seth said about the Primaris Marines. But moving on. Before I get into a tirade here that I'm going to not be able to back out of. What have we got next? We have Tau next. Alright. Okay. If you know of that guy, in 7th edition, right? Remember 7th edition? Do you know that guy? A guy who wins at all costs, sits at the back of the table, blasts you to Kingdom Come within a few seconds. You know that guy? That's a Tau player. Tau players are wildly into Gundam, number one. They seem to very much like playing Cyberpunk 2077. I see that all the time. Okay? A lot of people on my Discord who like Tau, I know they like Tau, and I see them on my Steam friends list, always playing Cyberpunk or Ghost Runner. Always on it all the time. These are people who like solving problems. I know a lot of engineers who are into either AdMech. Alright, we're going to talk about AdMech now as well. Not with some art, because I've got Tau on there for now. But AdMech players tend to be the embryonic stages of a Tau player. What do I mean by that? Well, AdMech players tend to be engineers. They tend to be people who are into the sciences. They tend to be people who like working out problems with their brains. They see themselves in the Adeptus Mechanicus, right? But when the Adeptus Mechanicus go off the rails, as in they have a really bad codex, or they start falling out of love with their lore, I don't know why, it's really cool, but they start falling out of love with their lore, those players tend to become Tau players. Because Tau players also like solving problems. They like the fact that the Tau are actively solving the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Not very quickly, right? And they're never going to truly succeed, but they have an empire where you can live in peace. They have technology that doesn't revolve you smashing your head against a wall and praying to it every now and again, right? They are an actual sci-fi culture in Warhammer 40,000, and Tau players quite like that. If you are an AdMech player who woke up on the right side of the bed this morning and you feel like having a bit of levity in your stories, not levity, but a bit of hope in your stories, you tend to go and collect Tau. They are almost interchangeable, these two fan bases. It's really, really strange. But for different reasons. They're interchangeable for different reasons. Again, that is where we are with the Tau and AdMech. 2 for 1 there. I know. I'm great at that kind of thing. Also, if you're an AdMech player, I am very, very, very sorry about your current codex woes. That must suck. That must really suck. Who have we got next? I think we saved the best until last. I think we've gotten pretty much everybody out the way. Yeah? Yeah. So, we have... Oh, no. We got one more. One more that we didn't do last time. Salamanders. Okay. I've never known a group of fans, apart from Space Wolf fans, to miss the point entirely more than Salamanders fans. I'm going to say this just right now. Salamanders are not good people. They are literally not good people. They are Space Marines. Salamanders will carpet bomb an entire hive city if they can get to one heretic that's in there. Without fail. They are still Space Marines. And a lot of Salamanders fans tend to gloss over this and buy into the meme. And this happens across the board at 40k, by the way. People tend to just buy into the meme, and that's what they do. They love the old memes. They're getting in there, and they really get in there, and it becomes cringe after a while. Hello, Alpha Legion fans. Yes, I see you. I still see you, right? Salamanders fans, unfortunately, also do this. They're the ones who kind of spread pictures like this one. Again, it's a cool picture. Don't get me wrong, right? And I guess things like this might happen with Salamanders every now and again. Don't get me wrong. But they're still ruthless Space Marines. They are ruthless Space Marines who value human life, yes. But if that human life is between them and their objective, that human life will be disappearing very, very, very quickly, whether it's a man, woman, or child, right? Then it's just how they are. Most Salamanders fans tend to be rather like Imperial Fists fans. They're very simple. And I don't mean stupid. I mean simple. I mean, no. I like playing as the good guys. I like being good guys. I like Space Marines. And I'm going to combine those two things. I also like the colour green because all of the simple dudes I know all love green or neon green, right? Steady, for instance. He's appeared on the channel before, right? Really, one of the best blokes I know. Absolute diamond of a bloke. And very, very, very smart. Steady is a problem solver, right? He is an engineer at heart. He engineers everything. He's a problem solver. But he's a simple lad. He's not a complicated lad to get to know, right? He is straight up and down. You get what you see with him, right? One of the things I love about him most. You know what you're getting with Steady. I've never known him to pick up the phone to me and be in a bad mood. He's just Steady. That's who he is. That's why he's got his name, right? That's why we gave him that name. And you know when he played Space Marine 2 multiplayer, the first chapter he played as was Salamanders. Right? The first chapter he played as was Salamanders. And I'm willing to bet if he ever got into 40k proper, he would be a Salamanders player if he had to do Imperials. He also likes Chaos. You know, but there you go. But that is Salamanders players. Alright, we are saving the best to last. Oh, look at you men of culture. I see you out there. I see you out there. You Grey Knights fans, you. I see you, right? Grey Knights fans are essentially Dark Angels fans on steroids. The arrogance in secrecy of Grey Knights fans knows no bounds. They literally think that they are the best of the best and that they get a really bad shake from the lore all the time, because they kind of do. The Grey Knights are essentially the Warhammer 40k lore's answer to the Avatar of Cain, right? When you want somebody to look really powerful and cool, have them beating a Grey Knight. They are the measuring stick to everybody, essentially. If you can beat a Grey Knight, you're good at what you do, right? If you are a black library writer and you want to jerk off one of your characters, Eskandar Kaon, hello, I know, he is way overpowered, and a Mary Sue, have them beating up a Grey Knight, or several of them in Kaon's view, which was the most stupid thing I've ever read, but there we are. And Grey Knights fans are very, 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 very salty about this. They could give Iron Warriors fans a run for their money in terms of salt. Thing is, though, Iron Warriors fans are actually allowed to have wins. Grey Knights, by and large, are not. Even their Chapter Master is struggling to get out of the warp every now and again. It is a very, very, very strange thing. But there is an arrogance in secrecy with Grey Knights. They do think they are the big brothers to everybody who wears power armor, until a Custodes comes into the room, but they sort of sidestep that because Custodes aren't really Space Marines. So, I will say this right now, by the way. If you take all of the, how do I put this? All of the standard Marines in a tournament, right? You take a standard Marine from each chapter and you have a tournament, Grey Knight wins. I will say that. I will say that. And every Grey Knight will tell you that as well. Every Grey Knight fan will tell you that. If there is a tournament of every single chapter with a single fighter, a normal fighter, not a character, just a normal standard guy, with the armaments that they have, Grey Knight wins. Simple as. If you want to know what Grey Knight fans are like, it's me. It's North. Hello. This is what we are like. Alright? That is where we are. That is what we are like. Oh, and that is the end of the video. If I have missed anything out, I'm just stopping here because I'm tired and my voice is starting to go. I may do a part 2. If you think I've missed out your army, let me know. I've done the boilerplate armies in this video. Boilerplate, right? So I'm not doing sub-factions because we could be here all day. But if there is a big army that I've missed, I think Chaos Demons is one of them. But Chaos Demons is very much like... it was too much like Tyranids, right? I know a lot of girls who played Chaos Demons, and I know a lot of artistic people who play Chaos Demons. Chaos Demons players... In fact, we'll do Chaos Demons right now. Chaos Demons players are the most artistic people in the hobby. Just saying. In terms of conversions, paint jobs, you know, they are the most... They're not the best hobbyists in terms of painters, but they are amazing in terms of, you know, wanting to express themselves and doing weird things with their models. It's kind of what they do, right? And again, the Chaos Demons were covered in Tzeentch when we went over Thousand Suns, and they were covered in Khorne and Death Guard and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, that's why we didn't give them their own thing, because they were literally in 4 other people's sections. And they got their own one at the end there with the Grey Knights too. So there you go. So yeah, that is the video. I'm losing my voice, but I love you all a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.